Hey friends, how's it going? Well, we're back out here doing just a little brief content for everybody. We have a guest here on the bench. This is a Dietz number 2 D-Lite. Now, the number 2 D-Lite is not exactly a new lantern. It's been around since the early 1900s. The D-Lite, or the squat globe style lantern, actually came about in the 1910s. Some maybe a little earlier, but not too sure about that. The whole premise behind the squat globe lantern was ease of clean. It was easier to clean because of the wide mouth opening. So the whole design was easier maintenance, more or less. So it's a large cold blast lantern, 7/8 wick, almost 1 inch wick, just like the other number 2 lanterns Dietz offered, which was the Blizzard or the Crescent. But yeah, the very first large cold blast lantern, to my understanding, that Dietz manufactured was the number 2 cold blast, which eventually came within very quick time, the Blizzard. And then by the 1910s, then there was the new style, which was the squat globe, and that was a top lift lantern where the lever's up here, and you would lift the chimney, tip the globe back, and then reposition the globe and lower the chimney. It was a few more steps than necessary, but it was a new design, and they did it for several years, and then they abandoned it and went with the normal side lift. 1910 through 1914 was a really interesting period for a lot of lantern companies for that reason. The squat globe is very convenient. You remove it simply, and it's easy to clean because of the wide open mouth and at the top, and you can stick your whole hand in there and clean it very easily. So it's a good design, but unfortunately it does not throw as much light as the tall globe lantern does. Now, the tall globe lantern, those cold blasts do throw out more light because there's more glass and more light emitting from them. Same candle power, but this definitely throws light more linear than everywhere else. But yeah, it's still a great design, and they burn really nice, and they're very popular. This is a streamline model. Now, what I mean by streamline is that it's kind of Art Deco. In 1937, Dietz wanted to appeal to the modernist sensibility and design because that was very popular in the 1930s. And especially by the late 1930s, you saw a lot of streamlined trains. Cars were heavily streamlined. Appliances, most of everything that any consumer product was streamlined. So for those railroad fans, you probably recognize the 20th Century Limited, the Hudson J3s that had the Raymond Loewy streamlining on them, or that Raymond Loewy did the Pennsylvania Railroad. He did the K4s and also the S1. The longest locomotive Pennsylvania ever offered was the S1, debuted at the 39 World's Fair. I could go on, but Henry Dreyfuss did the 20th Century Limited. That's right. It was Dreyfuss that did the 20th Century for the New York Central lines. Also, you had the Southern Pacific D-Lite that debuted in 1937 through 1938, and all the way up into the 50s. Anyways, getting back to lanterns, Dietz debuted their streamlined lanterns in 1937, and they were only the Little Wizard and the Monarch. The D-Lite and Blizzard came around 1939, 1940, so it wasn't the first rollout of the streamlined design. The two first streamlined lanterns Dietz offered was the Little Wizard and Monarch. But then, they made the streamlined lantern all the way through the 40s and then into the very mid-50s. By the time Dietz they purchased Embury, and then in 57 they moved their operations to Hong Kong. The dies for these streamlined D-Lites and Monarchs and everything were pretty tired, so they destroyed them and used their older, earlier dies that they started with. So you can buy a D-Lite still to this day that was made probably within a year ago for a very reasonable price, and it was made off of the older dies that they did back in the 1920s and 30s before the streamlined models. Anyways, This lantern belongs to a friend of mine, and he asked me to fix it because he recently got it at the Pomona Auto Swap Meet. And it was a very affordable price. He got it, oh, I'm not going to say, but it's under 20 bucks. So I thought, okay, that's cool. He told me about it. He was very excited that he found a lantern for a very good price. I went over to his house to check it out. We fueled it and lit it. And as it sat on the ground, we noticed that it was not happy. It was leaking. So I'm like, all right. So we pitched the fuel that we put in there. Wasn't a whole lot because I had a feeling it might not hold fuel. And then, so we I took it home and he says, "Can you fix it for me?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I let it dry, rinsed it out, cleaned it out, and then I added, I made JB Weld. So I saw where the leaks were, and I mixed up some JB Weld and slathered it on there, and then used my thumb and followed the contours of the bottom of the plate of the fountain so it'll blend it in very nicely. It doesn't look junky at all. Anyways, it is a common lantern, and it's the underside, and you're really not going to see it much at all. So he's going to burn it, enjoy it, and it was a very low expense for him. So it's definitely a workhorse. And this has the machine gray paint, and I saw the manufacturer date on it, and it's 1949, and it came from Syracuse. So it's a cool piece. I mean, these are really good lanterns. They're very popular, and they're very easy to find. So with that being said, it's done. That was a quick, easy fix, so I'm happy to have been able to do that. Now, friends, a little side note. Something happened today that I'm very excited about. What is it, you ask? Well, I bought a lantern. Now, that's a big surprise, right? Me buying a lantern. Come on, Rob. Tell us something we don't know. Anyways, what I found on eBay is going to blow you guys away. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. Now, I will say, it's a special Dietz tubular lantern from the 1890s. It's a very rare lantern. One could say it's not a regular occurrence. So when that lantern comes, they're shipping it tomorrow. It's coming from the East Coast naturally, as most things do. It's going to come here hopefully by the weekend. If it does, we'll make a video and you will see what I have. And you'll be like, whoa, I've never even heard of that lantern before. That's pretty crazy. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys because it's going to be a very special piece, and I'm going to restore it. It's intact. It's mostly complete, but it's going to be it's got paint on it, and I'm going to have to try and strip it and clean it up a bit. But anyhow, with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in to this quick, brief little video about my friend's D-Lite that I just fixed. Thought you guys would enjoy a middle week little video here. So, all right, have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.